association, society, and group form of regional organization and work as a compete with the challenges of the world. Globalization has made people aware of the world in general, while regionalism is often seen as a political and economic phenomenon. Country, regions, and globalization, according to Edward D. Mansfield and Helen V. Milner, state that economic and political definitions regions vary, but there are certain basic features that everyone can agree on.
First, regions are a group of countries located in the same geographically specified area or an amalgamation of two regions or a combination of more than two regions organized to regulate and oversee flows and policy choices. Second, the words regionalization and regionalism should not be interchanged as the former refers to the regional concentration of economic flows, while the latter is a political process characterized by economic policy, cooperation, and coordination among countries. Countries respond economically and politically to globalization in various ways. Some are large enough and have a lot of resources to dictate how they participate in processes of global integration. China, for example, offers its cheap and huge workforce to attract foreign businesses and expand trade with countries it once considered its enemies but now sees as markets for its good. Other countries make up for their small size by taking advantage of their strategic location. Singapore and Switzerland compensate for the lack of resources by turning themselves into financial and banking hubs. Singapore develops its harbor facilities and made them a first-class transit port for ships carrying different commodities from Africa, Europe, Middle East, and mainland Southeast Asia to countries in the Asia Pacific. In most cases, however, countries form a regional alliance for, as the saying goes, there is strength in numbers. Countries form regional associations for several reasons. One is for military defense. The most widely known defense grouping is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization or NATO, formed during the Cold War when several Western European countries plus the United States agreed to protect Europe against the threat of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union responded by creating its regional alliance, the Warsaw Pact, consisting of the Eastern European countries under Soviet domination. Countries also form regional organizations to pool their resources, get better returns for their exports, as well as expand their leverage against trading partners. The Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries or OPEC was established in 1960 by Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela to regulate the production and sale of oil. This regional alliance flexed its muscles in the 1970s when its member countries took over domestic production and dictated crude oil prices in the world market. In a world highly dependent on oil, this integration became a source of immense power. OPEC's success convinced 9 other oil production countries to join it. Moreover, there are countries that form regional blocs to protect their independence from the pressure of superpower politics. The presidents of Egypt, Ghana, India, Indonesia, and Yugoslavia created the Non-Aligned Movement or NAM in 1961 to pursue world peace and international cooperation, human rights, national sovereignty, racial and national equality, non-intervention, and peaceful conflict resolution. At its peak, the NAM had 120 member countries. The movement, however, was never formalized and continues to exist up to the present, although it lacks the same fervor that it had in the past. The Thai economy collapsed in 1986 after foreign currency speculators and troubled international banks demanded that the Thai government pay back its loans. A rapid withdrawal of foreign investments bankrupted the economy. This crisis began to spread to other Asian countries as their currencies were also devalued and foreign investment left in a hurry. The International Monetary Fund or IMF tried to reverse the crisis, but it was only after the ASEAN countries along with China, Japan, and South Korea agreed to establish an emergency fund to anticipate the crisis that the Asian economies stabilized. The crisis made ASEAN more unified and coordinated. The association has come a long way since it was formed as a coalition of countries which were pro-American and supportive of the United States intervention in Vietnam. After the Vietnam War, ASEAN continued to act as a military alliance to isolate Vietnam after it invaded Cambodia, but there were also the beginnings of economic cooperation.
The next topic we will talking about the non-state regionalism.
Hindi na nakatubuan kung kasi dito sa dapat world katong sa itong non-state regionalism.
Oo, naana. Ang non-state regionalism is a tiny associations that include no more than a few actors and it focuses on a single issues or a huge continental unions that address a multitude of common problems from territorial defense to food security. So organizations representing this new regionalism likewise rely on the power of individuals, non-government organizations or NGOs, and associations to link up with one another in pursuit of a particular goal, and also identified with reformists who shares the same values, norms, institutions, and system that exist outside of the traditional established mainstream institutions and systems. And these are the examples of regional organizations which dedicate themselves to specialized causes. Rainforest Foundation, Regional Interfaith Youth Networks, and Migrant Forum Asia. Rainforest Foundation aims to protect the indigenous people in the rainforest of Brazil, Guyana, Panama, and Peru. Regional Interfaith Youth Networks, it aims to promote conflict prevention, conflict resolution, peace education, and sustainable development. And lastly is the Migrant Forum Asia. This is another NGO unions which is commonly used to protect and promote the rights and welfare of migrant workers.
So our last topic we're talking about is about the challenges of regionalism.
Topic ganina about sa challenges of regionalism. Patulong mo ko.
Today, the regionalism faces multiple challenges, the most serious of which is the resurgence of militant nationalism, populism, the refusal to dismantle NATO after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Perhaps the most crisis-ridden regional organization of today is the European Union. The continuing financial crisis of the region is forcing countries like Greece to consider leaving the Union to gain more flexibility in their economic policy. ASEAN members continue to disagree over the extent to which member countries should sacrifice their sovereignty for the sake of regional stability. Recently, ASEAN countries also disagree over how to relate to China, with the Philippines unable to get the other countries to support its condemnation of the China's occupation of the West Philippine Sea. Singapore, China, and Russia see democracy as an obstacle to implementation and deepening of economic globalization because constant public inquiry about economic projects and lengthy debates slow down implementation or lead to unclear outcome. Democracy tendencies produce must therefore give way to efficiency.